Hey, what's up everybody? Ted here from Bodies and Wicks. I just wanted to do a quick video today, and I haven't done one in about a week. But just want to touch base with you on the top 10 that I picked from 2 weeks ago, and then the other top 10 I picked from last week of the altcoins. Wanted to check up to see how they were doing. Probably remove some from these lists and maybe add one more, actually, just one more. That's gonna be it. So some of these actually did fairly well. Some of them, you know, not so much. But first, I'd like to give a shout out to my sponsor, Rockstar punched me right in the face. Not really, but tastes better than the actual regular Rockstar, that's for sure. Yeah, and then after I get going over the top 10, top 20, 21, 20, probably whittle it down to about 15 maybe, I don't know. And then I want to just kind of focus on those, and then I want to go over what happened yesterday, the big scare that everybody had. I was freaking out whenever crypto just dropped out of nowhere. Like it seemed like the sky was falling. I was actually right in front of my computer when it happened, and I was waiting for it. Because I had called something on TradingView earlier this week, and I kind of saw where it was going, but I didn't call it completely correct. But I was close enough. I was close enough to, just based on technicals alone. So we'll kind of go over that and on both Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ethereum was the one I called on TradingView, but yeah, we'll kind of go over those in the technicals, and we'll see what happens. So first, let's just go ahead and jump over to the charts here. All right, so the first is the well, this is the new 10. Let's go back to the first 10, why don't we? If I can find the top 10 video. All right, so first of the top 10 I have, still disappointing me, is 1 inch. All right, yeah, I'm not for sure if 1 inch is going to be doing much other than just going sideways. I thought I'd be doing much better, but you know, since I did the video, I still have these marked from 2 weeks ago whenever I did this video, and it's right around the same exact price. It has went up and it's went down, but you know, it hasn't really, you know, done much more than that. After I saw the technicals were doing fairly well on it, after I called that, it just kind of stopped. So I'm not sure what's going on here with the 1 inch. I may pull this off because I think they may have found their cap. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Mana, still, you know, when I called the video, it increased. I think I did the video on the 13th of last week, so it definitely went up, but then pulled back down into the range to where it was whenever I first called it. And now it's pulling back up again. I have this thing called rejection block here. I wanted to see if it was going to come down and reject off of that. It kind of has, but not enough to where I think I would call that reject. I was going to see if it went up, you know, if it was going to try to get above it again, if that was going to reject it and pull it back down. Did not do that, so I think Mana still has some room to grow. It did get up to about 30, almost 39 cents. And again, that was right around last week whenever I was doing this video. So you know, that was probably the highest it's got, and then just kind of but then again, you know, two weeks ago, or not this past week, wasn't the greatest. 2 weeks ago was definitely altcoins going crazy. And then this week, you know, of course we saw Bitcoin go crazy, and then altcoins have just kind of been fairly quiet. But you know, let's keep going through these. Qtum, same, you know, from the time I called it at about $4, it has, you know, steadily grown. You know, been pulling back a little bit. Nothing unhealthy though. I think this is kind of normal for something like this to happen. I'm looking at this at the 4-hour perspective as well. It looks like it came down last week on February on the Valentine's Day. Everything kind of came down on Valentine's Day last week. But it looks like what it did is what I would call closing a gap, because you do see a huge 4-hour candle here. Sometimes when you see a huge 4-hour candle, expect a pullback into, you know, that 4-hour candle, and then a continuation. So it has continued on since then. So you know, since we have I have called Kedem, I should say, not we have, you know, a good 70% growth. So hey, you know, can't complain about that one. Algo, again, another one, kind of looking like the same as QCM. A little bit under 60% growth since I called it, but you know, still looking like on the same trajectory. Iota, still continuing to perform though. Has not been, I mean, you know, not really falling back too much, but still continues to be on an upward trajectory rather than a sideways or downward one. So since the last time, or since I called it 2 weeks ago, I get up 100 and almost 40%. So that has been a good one, especially if, you know, as cheap as this one is. Again, I've been trying to call the cheap ones, so that way if you have very, very little money to throw in, you know, hopefully you can see yourself, you know, 2x 3x from here. Now Swissborg, again, another one of those going sideways. Not for sure if we'll see it do much more, but yeah, I again, one of the reasons that I called this, I love the name. Number two, the spikes down were just something that, you know, it caught my eye. Usually whenever you see it spike down and pop back up really quick, there's generally some interest somewhere, right? There's interest somewhere, and that's what's causing it to spike back up, right? So it just seems like maybe there's a area of support, to where as soon as it falls to a certain point, people are already automatically buying, and they're seeing that as a good area to buy. And so, you know, maybe that's where that area is. It's right around 80 cents or so, 75 cents, something like that. And so you know, as long as you have like a, you know, a buy limit or something like that set, you know, maybe this will continue to just pump out you know, a couple percent here and there if you set it for, you know, a certain percentage. Yeah, it could continue to help your portfolio. You know, it's one of those you just got to kind of take a look at, see for yourself. However, though, ADA now, yes, this is what I do love, because I am self-invested in the ADA smart contract platform. I got in. I personally got in probably right around the time I called it. Right around here, 62 cents, something like that. It has now gone up over to about $1.05. So we have seen about a 70% increase. I do have some technical notes here that I made for myself for when it did fall, or has fallen into a specific area. I can't really talk too much about it, but I will say that it's kind of like a gap. Oops, button. It's kind of like a gap. It did come in. Didn't mean to do that. It did come in and not all the way fill the gap. It doesn't have to, but is what you would call basically an entry drill, I guess you could say. A good place to enter if you were to trade. But then again, also this gap down here also has me a little worried. Not a little worried, but just the fact that we haven't really pulled back too further much into this. You do have a big, you know, big kind of offset of the buying. You know, we may see this pull back into this level here. If it does, I wouldn't be surprised to see it, you know, pull back down into nearly, almost near the $1 range. If we get into the 1 hour of it, oops, keep hitting the wrong buttons again. yeah, I mean, you could see, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it did fall into the gap, and you know, I guess it doesn't have to fall back any further, but it could. Just throwing that out there, it could. But it may not. I keep hitting the space bar. That's what I keep hitting, guys. Sorry. So I'll keep an eye out again still for this one for ADA, especially since fell back and, you know, came into what I would call another gap. And I thought I was going to move up from that point, moved a little sideways, fell a bit further into that same gap, and I think that's probably what's going to help the bullishness. And we'll see what's going to happen from price action here on forward. But hey, you know, it's moving up now, that's for sure. And so hey, I'm sure my portfolio is definitely liking that right now. Let me see, from when I go back to when I called this into, I think I did from the bottom of that candle. I just want to double check. Let's do the top from when I called it to where it is at right now. I can't really tell. There we go. Let's see. Yes, okay, 65%, something like that. Not too bad. Can't complain. Avalanche. Little bit well, I mean, it did get really high. I'm not gonna lie. This one kind of took off like right after I called it, and it seen its way back down, but to a good area, to be honest. If you were to, you know, especially if you're buying up in here, you know, you're FOMOing into it basically. Now, you know, it's probably a good safe time to enter, just because if you the way I look at these things is that, especially if you're in a 4-hour setting, right? You see something, it makes a high, right? And then it falls back down, and boom, it shoots up way up into here, right? What I look for is that previous low before it shot up into the high. That's where I usually put my fibs. And then if it has fallen back, especially down to like near the 80%, or at the top of that high that it previously created, really a good time to enter the market again. So Avalanche being the highest priced one that I am going for, even though 35 bucks right now, I still think this one has some good potential. But you know, I even have buy zone down here. Of course, it's gonna buy. I'm definitely gonna buy if it gets down to about $18. But you know, as for now, I'm gonna enter the market on that one. I'm not saying you should. You know, this is all just opinions. You know, this isn't financial advice at all. Just throwing that out there. And then Celsius. This was the other one that I called. Again, another one went up, kind of went sideways and down. But then again, you know, if we're looking at this from a technical perspective, you know, it started off well. But let me just do a little bit of technical analysis here really quick and see if I can see if this is you know, one of those another good places to start investing in again. You know, it gets up, it pushes back down, beats that high there, beats this high, and then ever since then it is starting to fall back near the 80% level from beating previous highs. So yeah, I would say if you're gonna start filling back in, now wouldn't be a bad time. Let me leave that on there so that way I know next week if I'm going to be doing this again to see where it has went. So we'll leave that on there. All right, so going from that to the new 10 that I did last week. One of these absolutely crushed it, and I actually it was the one that I looked at and I was like, I'm getting in that, and I'm glad I did. I'll show you when we get there, but we'll see about the rest of them. The first was Loopring, and you know, I think just last week, you know, with everything climbing, this week was just not a good week for me to call anything. Loopring, kind of, you know, again, from everything that I called last week, you know, especially everything kind of went backwards and down a little bit. Loopring kind of did the same, you know, so, and I think don't know if this is one of them that said you may want to wait for a little bit for it to fall back, but you know, before you are going to get into something like this, because let's see here, actually this is where I would definitely place my fib, because this was probably the last low before breaking this high. So if you were to get in, moving around where I actually placed this on the video, yeah, I said fall back at least 80% from that point, gotten back in, and then you'd be in an okay spot, right? So looping, not up from where I called it from last week, but it did get to a good area to where you could get in, and has done pretty well since then. And then alpha, just kind of hanging below in the, like I said, I think when I did this video last week, I said whenever it gets into this area, that would probably be, you know, a good area to test the waters. And it's kind of stayed in that area and hasn't moved. So not for sure what's going on there with alpha, but hopefully it will start picking itself back up, and we should see it come out, you know, hopefully get back up in the $2 range maybe. Right now it's at $1.63. We'll see. This was what's this called? Yeah, polka starter. A little bit up. I mean, just barely up from last week. It did actually go up a lot from when I called this last week, but then it hit a pretty big peak around $8. Fell back down in well, actually I think whatever I called this, I said wait till it falls back down until about here. I think that's why I drew that box, and look, it came very close. Came very close to that box, but you know, so hopefully if anybody was watching that video from last week, if you did get into Polk Starter, that was a good time to get in, especially if you're in a leverage trade. You probably could have made some decent amount on the way back up. But if you're just putting in this into your portfolio and investing, you know, not a bad one to start off with, I'm not gonna lie. You know, went from, especially from when I called it, 465 up to about 528, couple, maybe a percent if that. Let's just go from the very top to where it is now. You know, almost 5%. Hey, 5% is better than no percent, right? Barsic, this one didn't do crap until just now, right? Until this past day. And it shot up like a madman. So when I called it last week, I said, wait, again, I drew the boxes where you should probably get in, right? Okay, so right around here is when I called it last week. I said it's probably at the higher end. I said wait till it falls back down. Here's my projections, and of course, boom, 3 times, boom, took off after that. So it was just interesting to me that it took it, you know, that long to actually take off, especially since it has, well, you know, it's a very new coin. So we'll see what happens with that one. I'm gonna leave that one up. Blocks, it was on a good rise, but now we have, you know, again, level I would actually look at before possibly getting back in again, be around somewhere 18 cents or so. You know, I call this around 222 or sorry, not 22 cents, around 2 cents, or 1.8. I can't even talk right now. Yeah, 1.8 cents is now hovering around you know, 0.21 cents, $0.0 if you say it. I'm just gonna go by cents. So I would be looking at, and the reason I would say that level in particular, one is you have kind of have this high, comes back down, kind of treats it as an equal low. Then you had this this liquidity run right here, trying to take people out of a long trade. Anybody that was going long had a short stop loss, trying to take those people out. So that's a level I thought, you know, this was going to be a good base level. So when it fell back down, you know, I could tell there was movement in this candle. Oops. Movement in this candle, meaning that there were kind of what I'm looking for, institutionalized something going on. So anywhere around just above it or just around the area is where I would think this would be going. So if I'm going to draw a rectangle and say, hey, watch out for it to be in any certain level, it would probably be right in here. Let me just draw this out for future time's sake. Anywhere in there, I think for blocks, you'll probably see it definitely be jumping back in. But you know, it's still at a lower point of what it has been. So you know, we'll have to see it and find out. Next one, New Cipher. New Cipher, one of the other ones that actually has went up since I called it. And whenever I draw this, I said, you know, maybe wait for it to get back down around to the 66 cents mark. It definitely got back down into those areas before it actually went back up, and yeah, it's not doing too bad. Again, privacy, one of the ones that's focused on privacy, which is, I think, people are going to be looking forward to. So I think I'm still very bullish on this one, and looking forward to see what is going to happen and develop out of Cipher. Now, the next one is the one I called that I looked into. When I looked into it, I was like, okay, this is the one. And sure enough, it was. And right after I got done with this video, I went out and bought some of them. And bought it right around, you know, I think it was around 6 cents or something like that. And it has 6x since then. I was like, this is actually going to be a really cool project. I'm excited to see what happens. Here we go, over 346% at one point. Right now, currently sitting at 222% from when I called it. And I've been checking out some of their tweets, and you know, they've been talking about it. You know, again, this is a coin. There's, you know, cryptocurrency that's designed to transfer securities. You know, securities is such as, you know, stocks that you own or something like that. So hopefully this will be like a good thing, especially if you're like on Robinhood or something like that, and you don't want your securities on Robinhood and you want to transfer them to you know, TD Ameritrade or another way, you know, Trade Station or something like that. Hopefully this is the problem solver. No, I know a lot of people are upset with what Robinhood did, you know, to a lot of people, especially with the whole Wall Street bets thing. A lot of people don't want their stocks on there, but then again, it's like they almost feel like they're trapped because they may have gotten to a good stock at a good time, so they don't want to sell. So if they can just transfer that, you know, to a different, you know, broker, to a different account, that would be a huge solution, and that's what the Raven is proposing, basically. And not only that, you know, some other things that they said would they would be doing, but I think the securities thing is a huge thing, and if they can get this to work there, I think they were voted most likely to fix the internet back in November, something like that. So still very bullish on Raven coin. Not for sure if right now is the best time to get in it. Don't want people to FOMO into this. Even though it had steady growth. Look at this really quick. Oh, rebound, redeliver. Gotta be careful what I say. But I would be looking at this particular level here. I'm not gonna say why. But I am going to be looking right around there to get back in, if I'm going to get back in. So right around 14 cents, 14.5 cents, somewhere around there. Maybe I'll set a buy limit somewhere around 15, just to be sure. But that to me is the area that I would be looking at. And I guess you could call that support. You know, that would be a fairly good support level, as it did climb its way up. That's what I'm thinking is going to be the support level. As you can see, it gradually sliding back down. I think once it probably hits this level, it will bounce off of it and go back up. I'll show you an example of another coin that did something similar to this. Just pay attention to what these candles are really quickly, and I'll show you something else that happened. Something similar to where it dropped down into a level like this. Here we go. Phantom actually is another one that is absolutely crushing it from what I called it last week. So when I called it around 17, 18 cents, it is now up to got above 40, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, got almost to 42, 41.5. Is, you know, still on the run, and looking at this at a 4-hour perspective, everything is looking healthy, especially the last 4 hours. Kind of dip, you know, even though it had a little bit of a fallback, that's always healthy, and then is now picking a continuation. So maybe not jump into this one just yet. Maybe we'll look for another little fallback and then jump in. But especially if you weren't in Phantom before I called this, be another one to check out. Now gas is wow. You know, I called this at $3.09, $3.08, something like that, or it started $3.90, $3.80. It jumped up to almost $18, $17.5. Now is having a huge pullback as kind of expected. You know, you don't see something like this take off without having some kind of huge race. That's just, that 4-hour candle is just not healthy at all. So, you know anything about technicals, you'll know that is not a healthy way to go. If you look at the daily, to be honest, I'm gonna have to see what's gonna happen in a couple of days to see what is going to happen with this coin, because you can see it shot right up, shot right back down, and then I'll have to see what's going to happen in the next couple of days, because I probably wouldn't be looking to get into this again until $5-6 or something like that if I was going to, just because of that huge you know, blow up. But who knows? It may be another one to where it just you know, barely pops down into 850 or something like that and then takes off. Definitely just have to take a look at this and see what's going to happen in a few days or so. Hedgic, I think I'm throwing this one out the window. Hedgic kind of really disappointed me this week. Didn't even come near where I thought it was going to, as far as climbing its way back. I mean, who knows? Maybe it is trying to climb its way back up. I maybe need to throw a little fib on here and see where it's at in relation to where it could be. You know, I mean, I guess it could be in the time to invest. It is right around that 80% mark from, is, you know, going high and then pulling sideways to the last low before it, you know, broke that you know, these kind of almost equal highs, look at them like so, and the pullback and then up again. So, you know, it's kind of almost on par with that, just below these kind of almost somewhat equal highs through here. So, and I called it right around here, but you know, yeah, 37 cents, not too bad. We'll see what's gonna happen. I may just scrap this one. Those are the 10 I called this past week. Again, most impressive, definitely Raven coin for me. I was super stoked about that one, and I'm glad that I personally put money into it. Now, there are two more that I do want to throw in here. One is going to be Frontier. It looks really ridiculous when you put it on a 4-hour chart, but if especially since it, like, whenever it started off above. I guess this is the initial coin offering was around $51, and it just. But there is a lot of good things that are probably going to be coming out of Frontier. Out of the research that I've done, research other people have done, looking at Frontier. I know I have also jumped into this one, and I jumped into it probably a little bit too early. I know whenever it shows a guy, okay, it's not showing what I saw in Gate.io. Gate.io showed that this thing got all the way up to $8 before finally pulling back into 4 something. And that was probably around. Well, this has been recently, hasn't it? 19. Maybe they're just now starting to track it or something, because I have been in this more than just since the 19th. Maybe I'm on the wrong. We go to somewhere else. Let's go to KuCoin. Let's see. Here we go. All right. Okay. Yeah, this looks a little bit more like what I had seen. I don't know why I had that other one pulled up. So I heard it mentioned around this day, and then again mentioned the next day. It jumped all the way up, like I said, about $8 or something, almost $9. Wow, I didn't realize that. And then it had the pullback, and then that's when I jumped in somewhere around $4. And it's slidden back a little bit since then, but I think in the long run, this is going to be a coin. If you're looking at the fundamentals of it, very, very strong coin. Going to be partnering with Coinbase eventually, so that's why I think there's farming, there's staking, there's all kinds of good stuff with Frontier. Maybe I can pull up something. Second here. Yeah, that one. Here. We just get rid of that. Well, first of all, if you don't follow me on Mines, please do. If it even pulls up my Mines, there we go. Bodies XMix, or you can find me at Tedzily. But I will use this to look up coin market cap and see what is going on with Frontier. What is Frontier? All right, so this is a team of more than 15 members scattered across the world. It was founded by those people. And of course, as founder of Venger, was formerly the CTO of Instadap. Woodstock, it is a smart contract developer, Android developer, computing polyglot. He is an early developer of the Ethereum development with rich technical knowledge in its core code base, cryptography, and form of verification. Revenge has 9+ years dev and worked on 50+ mobile applications, including Fueled, Air, and ClearTrip. So it talks about the people. How many Frontier coins are in circulation? They have about 100 million front tokens, which will never increase beyond this point. Good to know. At this time of writing, the current circulation supply is 15 million. 650,000 of price started. So 32.5% were distributed to investors, 8% to the community, 13.5% to staking, 20% towards the ecosystem, 10% to marketing, 20% to reserves, and 10% to the team. Yeah, that's pretty good way to stretch out, how Frontier is going to work. Front tokens are highly liquid. It can be purchased or traded on decentralized and centralized exchange platforms, including several top 10 exchanges such as Binance, Huobi, OKX, Uniswap, and Balancer, and some of the popular trading pairs such as Front BTC, and Front ETH. I personally have gotten mine on Gate.io, which is where I do my exchanging. So here, circulating supply, max supply, here, so fully diluted market cap, current market cap, still really low. I mean, what is that? 97 million? Not too bad. I mean, I would still consider that, pretty low cap. So I think Frontier still has some growing to do. Again, I have personally lost a little bit of money on this, but I think it's going to eventually turn out to be all. Last one I want to add is going to be Iost. Again, one of the cheapest coins out there at 6 cents. It has just been strongly improving ever since. So that's what made me pay attention to it. It's one of those ones where, hey, it's 6 cents. People throw in $50 and they can own 100 coins. Hopefully, it goes somewhere from there. Throw in $50, but it doesn't do anything. Who cares? You lost $50. It's one of those. It's not like Dogecoin to where it absolutely does nothing. It does have some background to it, and if we want to take a look at that, we can. Well, why not? I've done some backgrounds and everything else. But why not do some background on some Iost? Again, around the same market cap. I think around the same market cap as Frontier. I think it was somewhere around there. I can't remember. Iost described itself as ultra-fast, fully fledged, decentralized blockchain network and ecosystem with its nodes, wallets, and based in the next generation consensus protocol dubbed proof of believability. Proof of believability. All right, that must be a new thing because usually everything's like proof of stake, proof of work. I guess it's proof of believability now. The project was launched in 2018 by Jeremy Song, Terrence Wang, Justin Lee, Ray Zhao, and all those people. Zhang has founded, is it Zhang? All right, Zhang has founded other tech startups in the US and China. During his university days, he sold his first company for over 40 million. So, we got a pretty good person there. At least somebody knows what they're doing in business. A marketplace where students could exchange class notes. Interesting. Okay, after that he returned to Beijing and co-founded Iost. Among other projects, Wing's previous experience includes serving as an Uber software engineer. Also interesting. If any of you don't know, I used to work for Lyft, not as a software engineer, but as an analyst. I was a community associate, basically what it was. So Uber software engineer, I know how much those people go through. They go through a lot of rigorous engineering, and it's crazy, to be honest. Fields degree in computer science from University of Minnesota, master's in computer science from Princeton. Wow. Okay. So Iost. All right. Blockchain infrastructure, open source. Oh, open source, even cooler. I like open source stuff. Free the code, as Ian likes to say. Hope it will serve as a backbone for online services, and the team has developed a proof of believability to get that consensus algorithm ensure transactions on the network are secure and efficient. One of the biggest challenges for Iost aims to resolve sinners big companies may not be able to embrace blockchains in a customer-facing environment unless they are scalable. The Internet of Service Tokens is put forward as a way of tackling this problem. To understand Iost, the best way to do it is by comparing to its nearest competitors, Ethereum. Ethereum is its nearest competitor? So is it a okay, most popular smart contract platform for bookers. It can also be compared to EOS and Tron, which are highly scalable smart contract platforms with high use. Okay, so it's another smart contract platform. Didn't know that. So the largest difference between Iost and its competitors, how it claims to process up to 100,000 transactions per second compared to Ethereum's 20. Yeah, I know. We all know Ethereum is having gas fees and all that. Tron's 3,000, EOS is 4,000. In order to reach the transaction speed, Iost's team has created a novel backbone architecture which introduces and combines several innovations, including distributed randomness protocol, efficient distributed sharding, trans-epoch atomics, proof of believability, and microstate blocks. Okay, so cool. As far as the remainder, 35% has to be retained by Iost Foundation. Kind of a little bit, but not too much. 12.5% allocated to building community, 10% went to Iost team, 2.5% dedicated to investors and advisors. Iost network secured in order to compete with hundreds of niche blockchains. Iost relies heavily on proof of believability protocol, which is POB, and efficient distribution shareholders. Sorry, I screwed that up bad. Efficient distributed sharding to improve the scalability and security of its blockchain. Iost is built for enterprise use, so it claims to be able to handle heavy load purchases by big tech companies such as Amazon, Google, and Facebook. All right, now I don't like it. Well, maybe not the Amazon part, but come on, Google, Facebook. Partnerships appear to be key for project success. So, Iost can be bought on Bittrex, CoinEx, Livecoin, Binance, BitTrue. So, you know, it looks like it had a good heavy start. That was back, you know, can't tell you when, back when it started, 2018. So, of course, last couple of years, Bitcoin market has been, you know, relatively nothing. Now we're seeing altcoins explode. So, we'll see. We'll see how this one pans out. But I do think it is one to keep an eye on. I think it did reach in the. Yep, I was going to say I thought it ranked in the top 100. It is. It is in the top 72 right now. So we'll see. Speaking of that, I want to see where Ravencoin has ended up. I know it jumped in the top 100 at one point, rank 51. Okay, so Iost, Ravencoin, My2, and also Frontier. Top 300. Hey, you know, but it's on. It's getting up there. But we'll see. But yeah, those are the top 20 now. 22 of my. And you know what? I think I'm just gonna go ahead and, you know, I'll see what Hedgix is gonna do. I do want to scrap this one. I also want to scrap Swissborg, and then the rest we'll see what happens. Again, you know, it was. You know, I'm not for sure. Not exactly for sure, but we'll just have to see. I don't know if old Wally Wintermute is pissing people off, or sorry, excuse me, making people mad with her tweets. But and that's what's causing Hedgix to fall. But you know, we'll definitely see what's going to happen with that in the future. All right, next I want to jump to Ethereum, because Ethereum finally broke 2,000. Finally. I mean, it feels like we have been waiting for like 17 years for this to happen, but not really. I mean, it just went in this kind of sideways motion. I mean, you know, I don't really know how to explain it. You know, it seemed like it took forever to get above 600. Remember that, or above 700? I remember somebody saying, I think on one of my videos, or like, yeah, ETH is going to 700, and I was like, yeah, Okay, I get you, but like when? You know, that's going to be the question. That's going to be the hardest part, is when. And then once it got to 700, it was just boom. You know, it was off to the races after it hit 700. So I'm glad it did. I'm sure everybody else that's been a huge fan of Ethereum is glad it did. But I think the gas prices are what is actually killing it, and that's why people are looking toward things like Cardano and you know, Polkadot. And I think they're all going to have their, you know, their own unique niche in the smart contracts world. You know, there is a lot of projects going on with Ethereum, and we'll just see how they're going to have to play out. So right now what I have is a lot of technical notes on Ethereum and how this played out. Remember when I said I was looking toward what was it, the fallback? I think it was Ravencoin to fall back to a certain spot before, and I think I need to go back to the 4-hour chart to show that, illustrate that maybe. Yep. Okay, so you have this candle that I have here. I said that there's going to be something I'm going to show you that I think why it might fall back into that area, and that has to do with Ethereum. Now, you can see with Ethereum, these candles, if they look at them compared to what happened here, right? So this big candle outreached this big green one, and kind of something similar happened here. This big candle outreached this big one, left a little bit of a gap, right? If you went from candle to the tail here, and then whenever Ethereum fell back down, it fell right into that gap. So we do kind of the same analysis. I guess you could, so we would have to actually that one, but yeah, move it like this. And it would be a little bit of a bigger gap, I guess you could say, if we're going to be looking at that same kind of analysis, because that one, the Ethereum one, left a little bit of a smaller gap, but the preceding candles that I'm looking at, preceding candle that wicked above the body, right, and then it, you know, tailed back down, picked back up, kept on moving, right? If we look at the same thing happening here, wicked above the body, right, you know, tailed back down, kept on moving. So I'd be looking to see if it get back into this range, maybe not just the body of the red candle. I mean, even though that's where Ethereum ultimately got down to, it got down to the body of that candle, the one that wicked above the big one, right? It may get down to there, but I would probably be looking to get in anywhere in this area, to be 100% honest. We'll see if that, I mean, especially if it does get back into the area, I'm definitely throwing more in. And I think Ravencoin is, again, probably one of the bigger, best projects, I think, that is out there right now. That's just me personally. I do like Ravencoin, again, meant to transfer securities, and I think that's a huge, so we'll have to see. Now, with Bitcoin, what happened with Bitcoin? Again, same thing. It had that huge fall at the same exact time everything else did. Now, it didn't really, I mean, it kind of had, I mean, there's no, I don't know how to explain it. All right, so it didn't really have that same kind of candle look, you know, as the previous one did, to where, well, yeah, actually it did. I didn't notice that until just now. Look at this. This candle right here wicked up above this candle, right? And then the body of it, you know, stayed within that wick as it moved on to the next candle. Tail pulled back, came up on, but it was a tail that pulled back within the upper wick candle, and it fell down right into that zone, into the body of this zone. So you have this one and this one the same way. They both did the same thing. Those wicked candles that went above the body of the next one, and then the tail and the body between the tail and the body of those two previous candles is where it fell. So that's what I noticed between these two, and that's why I'm looking at this one and going, okay, this candle wicked above here, right? And so if it falls back into this area, that's where I'm going to be looking to see for it to go along. So just a couple technical tidbits about all this. I thought this might create a rejection block, and it kind of did for just a quick minute on Bitcoin, but then it didn't take long for it to actually get above it. So but now again falling back down. Sundays have not been the best day for Bitcoin the last 2 weeks, and not being the best one again today. When was the last week? Here I am on the hour, so 14th, of course, yeah, it was Valentine's Day. So again, falls back, gets below. Again, those equal lows, right? So those equal lows probably had everybody tripped, thinking that this was a safe spot to basically thinking that this is going to be the support. Again, drops below it, and then goes into an area to where it's almost like it's pretty much like a little gap there, except for there's no big tail no big wick that's wicked above it. Instead you would just look at the gap that it made in between the candles, and it kind of felt right directly in between those two. I'm looking at these two candles right here, by the way. So if you look at those two, you can see that it fell right in between those two candles, just below these equal lows. And that's what I always talk about when I talk about institutional trading. They're going to make you think that it's safe, right? That hey, look, this looks like a new support level, right? They're going to make you think this is a safe support level. And as soon as you think that it's a safe support level, boom, goes crashing down below it, takes off. You know why? Because then they can, probably everybody has their stop losses set here, and then of course the people with the big money, they'll push it down below it, so that way it takes everybody's stop losses out, gets transferred over to the broker or whoever it is. Those people lose their money, then they buy it back at a cheaper price, and then boom, so your money is transferred from them to, or from you to them, and then it continued to move on. And then the same thing happened again here, right? Again, it looks like there could have been a safe support level kind of like right around here. It jumps to this area here, it jumps up, and then another low, I guess you could say, and then all of it comes back up, hits these equal highs, and then just crashes. And I was watching this yesterday whenever it happened, and I was like, as soon as it hit those levels, I was like, oh, there they are. And everything marked out in advance, and I was like, yep. I could just see that these were going to be coming to, if not this particular level, probably down into here. And the same thing happened with Ethereum too. Wow, did this just happen? This had to have just happened, because I had this order block just marked out. Look at this 5 minutes ago. Well, yeah, at least within the last 20-30 minutes. So probably since I've been doing this video, Ethereum had fallen back down what was a positive order block. Went through that. No, let me see if I can't see what happened to it with this gap here that I already had laid out. And I said it was going to be tough getting, or actually the same gap that it fell to yesterday, it looks like. Or no, maybe a little bit above it. I'm not 100% sure. It just one. Fell below it. Okay, so gap I am referring to is a gap that was left in this area right here, and it has fallen directly into that gap and closed it up, it looks like. And what I mean by gap, I mean by it's only a red candle, right? Or it's only a green candle, right? There's no red candle near it. So again, a lot of this the red candle came down, almost touched the top of it. Here you can see another red candle came down, touched the top of it, and then it hasn't seen movement since until it went straight through it. And then after it went straight through it, went right up above it, right? And then now it has finally come down and went to it. So these are the things I pay attention to when it comes to technical trading, where these gaps are, basically. Because, you know, generally if you're just looking around at this kind of price action here, there's nothing too interesting about it. You know, it's slightly moving along, going ahead, you know, milling about, doing its own thing. But then whenever you see something like this, you know, it kind of take off for a little bit. You're like, oh, well, it didn't really come down and make a red candle or anything like that. What does it do? It comes down into that area and then boom, takes off, right? So you know, these are the things I'm kind of noticing, right? And as you can see, it did something like that similar here, right? Maybe not. Looks like really no gap in between the two candles, right? And fall back. Well, yeah, no, it would have been there. Okay. A little bit of a freak show of a little bit of a pullback, that's all. But yeah, so now what I'm looking at is ahead of it, kind of a gap like that in here, and then you also have what is known negative order block up here. So and then we have equal highs here, so liquidity here, people thinking it's going to come up to this probably, and then yep, so this was the hourly area of that section, to where it just went straight down, and there was in between two different candles, right? So and it pulls up into that and then falls, right? Now it's fallen into another similar gap of that area, right? And then now it is pushing it forward. I would expect it now to move through this gap ahead of these equal highs, right? Because this is what's going to get people to think that it's probably going to fall short, probably into this gap here, this little 5-minute little gap, and then probably fall back, and then I would maybe even close up this gap, hit this negative fair value, or hit this negative order block, fall back into the fair value gap, and then continue moving forward, something like that. I am not a mind reader. I am not 100% on these things, but I would say if it was going to do something, it would probably definitely get above these, maybe go through this, hit this, come back, and then go. That's, but maybe not. Maybe get into this gap, fall back down to here with this order block, and then fall back down into the gap, and then move on. Maybe something like that. That's what I would personally be expecting. It may struggle to get through this gap for a little bit, but that's just kind of what I'm looking at, because whenever you see something like this, you know, a huge downward motion, right? There's some kind of void in there, right? And so it really, something like that needs to be filled. And that's why I'm pointing out all these other ones as well, because it seems like that's what's happened, and that's what's happened, you know, back here. You look at these, you know, I think they're, if I look at the 5 minutes of these, where go. May have been not been the 5 minute, may have been the 15 minute. I'm not for sure what it was. It was something that definitely caught my eye. To get into a specific time frame. maybe it's moved on me since then. Oh, you know what? That's what it was. I think it was supposed to be this. Yeah, that's what it was supposed to be, because then it pulls into those, closes those up, pulls into those again, closes those up, pulls into them, and then, you know, finally moves away. So again, these are the things I look at. It looks like there's like an imbalance, and that's what price likes to do. You've never heard me say it. I've said it a lot of times. Price looks to balance, right? Price is always looking to balance. And so that's what I'm looking at here. It's just looking to see if there, you know, if there's any imbalances. It's trying to make sure that those are all balanced out. This is all part of the algorithms that are in this. If you don't believe that this is not controlled by an algorithm, you're fooling yourself. If you think that it fell down here, well, I mean, yeah, more than likely there was a lot of this. You know, a lot of selling. People probably just threw off a crap ton of sells, and then probably got everybody to panic sell as well, and then waited for it to hit the right place as they knew where it was going, and you know, had all their buys set up right where it was going to continued on. You know, again, it's all part of the algorithm that the big banksters, the people that are in institutions know about, right? And so it's all about knowing what they know. So that's why I am looking at these, and I find these points of areas interesting, because that's where price always seems to be going, or at least billing, things like that. So we'll have to see. We will have to see, and of course it happens during different times of day as well. So right now, if I was to throw on some bills on boxes, it would probably be happening right over this area. Let me see if bills on boxes, the colors aren't coming in for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's the weekend. I don't know. Oh yeah, I know why. Okay, so it would be behind that, then it would be go on boxes for crypto markets. Of course, what just happened was in a kill zone area, so go figure, huh? And again, you know, I guess Saturdays and Sundays aren't always the best, but then again, it has picked up on Monday, considering it is almost 8 p.m. 8 p.m. that would be Central Standard Time. What that is in Asia right now. It's like 10 a.m., something like that, somewhere around there. Not 100% sure, but yeah. So this would be like the Asian kill zone for sure. Why it's smack down at that point. I think yesterday was probably right around the same, well, a couple hours earlier. But either or, not surprising to see this do what it did. But hopefully we should be seeing some bullishness from here on out from Ethereum. I know we're all kind of frustrated with Ethereum because it should be a much higher price than what it is. At least we were finally out of this whole crazy range that we, you know, it took forever to get out of. You know, it seemed like it was 1700s for like a decade. It was only just about a week, and then toward the end of the week it finally pulled itself out, or 2 weeks I should say. Toward the end of the week, finally pulled itself out. Again, weekends, always a lot of volatility on the weekends, and now we're starting a new week, and we should see how the like everything has kind of closed up as far as those gaps are of it falling and whatnot. There are a few just below here. I'm not for sure if I'm too worried about those though. I think the main ones are definitely have been looked at. are been tracking, yes. I'm going to be tracking these. Sure, I think I'm going to move this order block over here. It looks like it has made a new one. Yeah, because it looks like it's dipping down into it right now and then pulling itself out. Could be, or that could be what I like to call a propulsion block, or a propulsion. In line right, I want to get here and then as well. Boom, and then coordinates here. Like for that red block down here. May have taken a couple of hours for it, or no, or almost an hour for it to get down above that, but shut up, phone, I don't care. Coming back down into it. No, now it's definitely coming back down into it. We'll see if it let me watch this for a second. Let me see what's gonna happen here. Here you have, well, it doesn't reach above the body. Well, it reaches above the body, it doesn't reach above the wick. Same here. They don't have any gaps happening here on this this chart here, so I would expect this. Yep, I would expect this line right here that I just created to be a positive force for you propel forward. Made it down to it a little bit, but probably not too much. Let's see what the 5-minute has going here. Yeah, it looks like it's engineering some equal highs. Probably trying to get people to sell. Again, if it is to sell, probably won't be too much lower than what it already has sold to, right? So maybe down in this area, if it is to get down to this low, I'm 1790, 1780. The far stretch from where we are now. But it is late Sunday, early Monday. We've seen crazier things happen in crypto, and I should have went live for this. And the reason I haven't been going live I didn't go live for this is because I noticed that my videos have been a little choppy after I go back and rewatch them. So sorry for not giving you a live video. And I am doing right now at 8 p.m. on a Sunday night. If anything comes out of this, but anyways, you know what? I won't bore you with any more of this. It's already been an hour. I'm surprised if you guys are even gonna watch this that long. I always try not to go over an hour. I try not to go over 20 minutes. I end up always go over an hour. If I was live, I would have been cut off by now anyway. So I probably should have went live that way. You guys hear me stop rambling. Anyways, Ted here, Bodies and Wicks. Thank you again for always checking me out. And just to remember to always wear your pants. I think I said that right. Any advice or information on this website is general advice only. It does not take into account your personal circumstances. Please do not trade or invest based solely on this information. By viewing any material or using the information within this site, you agree that it is general education material and you will not hold any person or entity responsible for loss or damages resulting from the content or general advice provided here by Bodies and Wicks, its employees, directors, or fellow members, futures
options, and spot currency trading have large potential rewards, but also large potential risk. You must be aware of the risk and be willing to accept them in order to invest in the futures and options markets, as well as Forex. Don't trade with money you can't afford to lose. This website is neither a solicitation nor an offer to buy, sell, trade futures, spot Forex, CFDs, options, or other financial products. No representation is being made that any account will or is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those discussed in any material on this website. The past performance of any trading system or methodology is not necessarily indicative of future results.